Hello and welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark. We got a special emergency podcast we need to jump on here. A couple big breaking news items here early on a Monday morning. They both dropped right around 9 a.m., which is always fun. I'm sitting here with Jeff Goodman, trying to enjoy a nice cup of coffee to get myself going on a Monday morning after a wild Mother's Day. No, we got to sit here 9 o'clock, 9:11 in the a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the only legitimate time zone. We got to sit here and we got to talk about Great Osobor committing to Washington over Texas Tech, Louisville, and Kentucky. And Bronny James has made it official. He is going to be keeping his name in the NBA draft and foregoing the rest of his collegiate eligibility. Let's start with Great Osobor, Goodman, because I think that is the more interesting commitment, especially in the world of college basketball, because he was a guy that a lot of people considered, maybe the best transfer, one of the three best transfers available on the market. He said no to Kentucky. He said no to Louisville. He said no to the money at Texas Tech. And he followed his head coach, Danny Sprinkle, from Utah State to Washington, where Danny Sprinkle is going to try to work magic again, rebuilding basically an entire roster with a bunch of new faces. What do you make of Great Osobor's commitment to the Washington Huskies?
Well, remember too, he spent 2 years with Sprinkle at Montana State.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had a ton of success. He trusts Sprinkle. And ultimately, I think the comfortability plus the NIL plus the financial package was the key here, right? Like all three of these schools were putting out huge numbers. Like I don't know this for a fact, Rob, but I will say this. I think as of today, Great Osobor might be the highest paid player through NIL so far through the portal in terms of the package he got to go to a place through the collective and whatnot. Now, again, I think RJ Davis is going to make more money. Hunter Dickinson's probably going to make more money maybe at the end of the day because of what they're going to be able to get, through national brands, things like that. Great Osobor is not going to pull that type of money in Seattle. But, again, he had a lot of success. They went to the tournament. He turned him into a hell of a player last year. He was one of the best big men in the country. And it's a huge get for Washington because Washington's roster in year one right now, Rob, looks like good. It's good. It's like a fringe tournament team, probably even after Great Osobor right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, DJ Davis was had his moments at Butler last season. They bring in the kid from Rice, Makai Mason. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. And then Frank Kepnang gives him a nice 5-minute. You can squint your eyes and see a way for this team to make the tournament, but it's also you're going to be playing in a new conference. You're going to be playing in a league where every single one of your road games, for the most part, are going to be played in a different time zone. It's not going to be an easy year or an easy adjustment for Danny Sprinkle, but perhaps the best thing forward is, like, if you're going to be Washington stepping into a completely new league, you might as well have a completely new head coach. So it's not like you're kind of already have the learning curve trying to figure out what this conference is going to look like. I'm also not convinced 100% that Great Osobor is going to end up being worth the money that he is going to get paid.
Oh, I agree. Listen, I'm not going to argue that point. I totally agree. He did it in the Mountain West last year, and the Mountain West was awesome. But what the Mountain West did not have, Rob, was big-time rim protectors. And now I think he's going to go up against some more athletic, bigger dudes on a night-to-night basis. And again, listen, love the kid. You and I fell in love with him last year. And he put up, look at what he had, 17.7, 9 rebounds a game. When I saw him in person, the part that shocked me was like how he could move. Like I thought he was far more mobile and agile than I had seen when I watched him on
Here's
TV.
the good thing about the situation he's walking into is that he's not going to have to play the 5, right? If he went to Louisville, right? Louisville specifically, he probably would have ended up having to play the 5, kind of like a small ball 5 role. And I don't know if that necessarily would have been the best situation for him. Now, offensively, he probably would have been able to get numbers because he's going up against opposing 5 men. But I mean, look, you're putting him in a situation where you got a 6'8", 250-pound guy that would have to guard a bunch of 7-footers that are more athletic and more bouncy than he is. I think that playing in the Big Ten league that's going to have other big bodies, allow him to play the 4, allow him to create some of those mismatches that he created before, allow him to kind of do what he did last season. It's kind of the similar role. I think is a way for him to be able to get numbers, and he's going to get shots. Like, where else are these shots going to come from? Where's the scoring going to come from Washington if it's not Great Osobor?
Hey, Rob, you know why he's going to get shots? You know why he's going to get shots?
He's getting paid $2 million a year.
I don't know if it's $2 million. I don't know if it's
so.
Two,
We don't have the exact numbers. I'm referencing Joe Tipton. Literally, as you were making the same point, said this is a quote from him: $2 million and plus in NIL and marketing deals are in place for Great Osobor, making him the highest paid known player in college basketball right now, which is wild to think about. Great Osobor. You know, honestly, he probably is going to make half that money back just because his name is Great. Like, there's got to be so many marketing opportunities for a dude whose name is Great. Think about that.
Yeah. Again, until I see the contracts on any of these, a lot of it is speculative. The exact amount we're talking about here, because you're hearing it, other schools are telling me, what the number is. An agent certainly telling people what the number is here too, and it may be accurate. He may be making, the baseline could be $2 million with everything, whether it's 2 million, 1.75, whatever it is. It's a lot of money for Great Osobor right now, who, by the way, made basically nothing last year in NIL at Utah State, like nothing.
Yeah,
so
every single person is incentivized to say that the number is high. Like, just for the people that are unaware of how this works, like, agents are incentivized to tell media that the number is higher than they want it to sound higher because they want more players to sign with them. Right. The coaching staffs at these schools are going to want those numbers higher. So it's more intriguing to players that are coming to visit them. Right. The opposing staffs are going to say they want that number higher because they want it to sound like, hey, look, it was a financial decision. That guy got $2 million over there. If you get me $2 million for a player, I'll be able to get guys like this. It's not my fault I wasn't able to recruit him. We would have got him if you had gotten me more money. So everybody is incentivized to say that the number is high. Right. You're not going to be lowballing anything here. So it's hard to tell. And there's no salary cap structure. So you can't ever really know what is actually getting made for these situations. Whether you are a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross-country travel, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of The Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at one of the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to unifiedhealing.com/unified68 to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/UNIFYD, the number 6, the number 8. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system. All right, let's talk a little bit about Bronny James. Bronny is a
wait, hold on. First, before we get to that, how big a loss is this for Louisville and Texas Tech, in your opinion? Because Louisville needs a big man. They got my guy James Scott, but are you comfortable with James Scott playing 28 minutes a game? I don't know if he can do it. I honestly kind of like the fact that he's got to be the guy. I hope he's got to be the guy. They're going to need somebody else to give you 15 or 20, but I think you force feed James Scott these minutes and see what he can do. And as long as you surround him with enough dudes, shooters, then he'll be fine, because I think, again, he can get you a lot in transition. He's a lob threat. He's a shot blocker. He's a shot alterer. He runs the court. He does a lot of the things you want big men to do these days, other than really score.
Yeah, they're still going to have to go out and get somebody else. And there's other big guys in the portal. There's other players that can play that role that are available. But I mean, you need someone that was a rim protector anyway. Even if they got Great Osobor, I think that he probably would have wanted to go out and get another big veteran 5-man.
They wouldn't have the money, Rob, they wouldn't
Yeah,
have the
no.
money.
Yeah, they might have burned through a lot of that cash. But yeah, I mean
Are
it's
they a
a
tournament team? I ask you today.
Louisville? Yeah. Louisville.
Today.
Louisville 100%. Texas Tech, I'm a little bit more unsure of. I'm hesitant to bet against Grant McCaslin like ever. But I mean, it just Darian Williams, who actually I think is pretty good and stepping into a bigger role will be interesting. Chance McMillan, Devin Cambridge, Federico, who, by the way, like, how do you not love a dude who has the same first name and last name? They got the Elijah Hawkins kid coming in from Minnesota. So there are pieces there. And if Grant McCaslin has pieces, then I'm just going to assume that he's going to find a way. I also never thought that Texas Tech getting Great Osobor was like, I understand he was in their last four. I just kind of assumed in my head this is Louisville or Washington that I'm waiting for the decision on. And it ended up being Texas Tech. Like, hey, that's a coup. But I was kind of waiting for this to be Louisville or Washington. At least me. I don't know if maybe I have bad info on that one.
Yeah, I mean, they were in there. They were actually in there. He had a good visit there. He liked it. So I think they're in the mix. But, the biggest thing now, right, for them, they got a lot of good players. And again, like we said, it's not like Great Osobor is going to average 17 and 10 wherever he goes. I think maybe at Washington, he's actually got the best chance to do something like that. But I think it's probably more realistic. He averages 14 and 7, something like that this year. He would have been a nice piece for Texas Tech to put them in the equation as like a lock tournament team, in my opinion. And Louisville, I think it would have given him a guy that honestly took them from a tournament team to maybe a second weekend team or even a top 25 team throughout the entire season. So I think there's a lot of pressure on James Scott there now. And I can't wait to see what he does because you know what I think his upside is.